So that takes us to Indiana, which I think everyone agrees right now has gone from, a team that made the playoffs last year, lost in the first round. They were building all these young pieces, of course, Caitlin Clark, to now an immediate contender with all the moves that they've made.
Sue Bird didn't sugarcoat it as you had hoped. After glancing over the Indiana Fever title hoopla, she said, "Let's pump the brakes up, people. Since rings aren't earned by dancing on TikTok or tweeting, Caitlin Clark is skilled. Now let's get into the scathing opinions and harsh realities."
I think is the one that, for most people, took it to another level. So now you're like, oh, they're a contender.
Sue Bird's one-take statement rocked the wnba world, and no, it wasn't a casual remark along the lines of, "Oh, the Fever might be decent." Instead, Sue went all out, saying that Indiana isn't just getting better, they're serious candidates for the championship.
Changed. I'm sure the way they're approaching this season has changed. I think the biggest part of DB joining this team is that she's already played for Steph. So I think that's going to help bridge the gap, because as we go along, we're going to talk about Vegas and Seattle, Atlanta. It's really going to be which
Stephanie
team.
White being the head coach of,
Right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
Was the head coach of Connecticut, now the head coach of Indiana.
Yeah.
Now take a moment to relax. Take a moment to comprehend that Sue Bird is a walking basketball encyclopedia. She has seen super teams and been on them, so she knows exactly what it takes to win championships. When she says something like this, it's not for attention or fun. Rather, it's because she sees something. She has played one and outsmart defenses at the highest level for 20 years.
So Sue Bird is one of the greatest point guards of all time in the WNBA. And she's someone who obviously is a part owner in the Seattle Storm. So hyping up another team is a bit of a conflict of interest, if we're being honest.
Subia, however, merely called them up to the adult section and told the league, "Hey, pay attention. This team isn't cute. This team is coming to ruin your season." Since this isn't just about Caitlin Clark, she's probably right. Yes, Caitlin is a game-changing talent who can shoot from the parking lot and make it appear effortless, but you're not understanding Sue's basketball brain if you believe she's hyped only because of Caitlin. When Sue looks at the foundation, she finds a group of people who have been working hard, especially since Caitlin arrived.
Out to you about the experience, the champions that have been added to this one.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what everybody talked about when we were in the playoffs last year of, we really didn't have much experience at all playing in playoff games. I don't know what the exact number was, but we really lacked in that area. So just adding pieces of, players that have been in this league, they know what it takes to win, they know what it takes to get to the finals, they know what it takes to win championships, I think is exactly what we needed in our locker room. So it's just exciting, but also they're not only really good basketball players, they're really great leaders and really great people. And I know the front office obviously really prioritized that and looking for the pieces that we wanted to add. So really thankful for that as well.
And let's be clear, Sue Bird doesn't use the title contender for fun. She has spent her entire career making wise decisions both on and off the court. If she says that Indiana has something special, she isn't speculating, she is telling you what's coming. Of course, nothing is guaranteed. Nobody wins a title in February. But what Sue is saying, and what people need to hear, is that Indiana isn't just a fun young team. They aren't here to develop. They're here to win. They're here to push for something real, and that should terrify the rest of the league, because the scariest thing in sports isn't talent but talent with belief, talent with momentum, and talent that has been told you're not ready yet and decides actually we are stupid, is aware of the potential dangers of the ideology that is spreading throughout Indiana.
Kelsey Mitchell's balling, Caitlin continuing to impress, and she's going to break records nonstop for the next couple of years. Yeah. It's just going to be a constant record break.
Against all odds, players are choosing Indiana because they want to be there, and you know what it's about. Caitlin Clark is the main attraction at the box office. Now let's talk about Cheryl Swoot, because that statement about true talent never choosing Indiana is beginning to sound like one of those clicked quotes that are played repeatedly with dramatic music.
Indiana Fever team.
They getting paid in what?
That are no, but players who will be free agents next year. There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
B, because Indiana isn't just some forgotten struggling team anymore. They're building something real. When someone like Sue Bird says, "Hey, this team is about to be a serious problem," you can be sure that players throughout the league are paying attention, because Sue isn't just commenting for fun. She's not on TV just talking about random hype. When Sue speaks, it's because she sees something, and what she sees is a team that isn't waiting for success. Rather, they're hunting it down. Pay at
this, and yeah, there's a narrative out there that Kathy made the call. All right, Kathy Engelbert. Oh, we got to make sure we get Caitlin Clark the championship. And I told you there's narrative floating. Number one, they're freaking out. Number two, the next thing you're about to hear is Caitlin Clark needs a super team to win a championship. So they're going to downgrade her status, and they're going to shit on her over that. It's already started. That's where they're going with this, folks.
Sue Bird has been vocal about it because she sees what's coming. And the funniest part is that free agents are suddenly viewing Indiana differently. It's no longer just a place to go get some minutes. It's a place where you could actually win, a place where you could play on national TV in front of a growing fan base, and most importantly, alongside a young core that will only get better. Many people didn't want to see it until it struck them in the face. For real basketball reasons, Indiana went from being a wnba afterthought to becoming one of the league's most talked about teams, and not just because of the hype. If anyone is still skeptical of Caitlin Clark's ascent and still believes that Indiana isn't a destination, they might want to start rewriting that script. Sue Bird sees the trajectory and sees a team that isn't just hoping to be great, but actually putting in the work to be great.
What do you mean Sydney Colson is joining the Indiana Fever? What does that mean? Indiana is just being so fucking greedy right now. They took DB. They took Natasha. Now they got Sydney Colson. Like, why would they take Sydney from us?
View Sue Bird examines the complete blueprint rather than simply the Fever's roster, and she notices something that many people miss. Stephanie White is the ideal coach right now. This isn't a case of hiring someone at random and seeing whether it works. Let's not forget that Stephanie White has already coached Danena Bonner, so there is chemistry between them. She knows how to get the most out of her, how to fit her into a system, and how to make sure she complements the weapons Indiana already has. Let's face it, Bonner is no ordinary player. She is experienced, versatile, and still a problem for defenders having her join this Fever team with a coach who knows exactly how to use her in addition to what Caitlin Clark can bring to the table.
Yeah. So it's really going to be the team that finds their chemistry. This season is short. I mean, they're adding games, but it's still pretty short season.
Short, yeah, still short.
And it's
Still
going to be
just
the
summer.
team that finds chemistry. So having Stephanie White there, having already coached DB, really does help.
Other teams, meanwhile, are making bold bids to accumulate talent, but they have a major issue. Some of these elite teams struggle right away to figure out rotations and learning tendencies because chemistry doesn't come overnight. You can't just put a bunch of names on a squad and expect it to work right away. It takes time to become accustomed to a system, but Indiana Caitlin Clark is entering a system that already fits her skill set since Indiana is designed for a quick start, and while other teams are learning out how to play together, the Fever is ready to go from day one. Alia Boston already has the ability to dominate, therefore she doesn't need to adapt. The advantage is that Stephanie White knows how to make the most of this team. While other teams are still determining who gets the final shot, as Bird notices that the Fever isn't waiting around to see who they are, they already have one. While other teams are arguing over their leaders, Indiana is managing their offense like a machine. The Fever has already setting the tone. Caitlin Clark Boston in white and Boner.
What the Indiana Fever did last night got me so excited. The Fever, if you haven't been paying attention, they are really active in ensuring that Caitlin Clark and company have a true contending lineup next season. They have Caitlin Clark, they have Alia Boston, they made sure that they re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. That was a big one. They acquired both Natasha Howard and DeWanna Bonner. They traded for Sophie Cunningham. They still have Lexi Hull. And now they have made a move that is literally my favorite of WNBA free agency. They have signed Sydney Colson, face of the WNBA. If you know, you know.
While other teams are still figuring out their lineups, the Fever have players who already mesh well together. They bring toughness, leadership, shooting defense, and the kind of mentality that wins championships. If the rest of the WNBA isn't paying attention yet, they will soon. The WNBA assumed they had time to figure things out, assuming Caitlin Clark would struggle as a rookie before making an impact. Well, congratulations. The Fever are already exceeding expectations before the season has even begun. The WNBA wanted a competitive season, and Caitlin Clark is on track to win MVP. If you're still skeptical about them, Indiana just heated things up. If you enjoyed the first game, you should belt up because it's going to get rather uncomfortable for many folks who believe the Fever wasn't ready when Caitlin Clark starts throwing threes like they're heat-seeking missiles. Additionally, subscribe to see more videos today.